Inflation slows further in March to a 6-month low of 1.8%. During a press conference on Friday, April 4, National Statistician Claire Dennis Mapa says the slower inflation rate is driven mainly by easing price pressures from food and non-alcoholic beverages. Mapa says food and non-alcoholic beverages accounted for a little more than half of the overall slowdown in the inflation rate.
Ang pangunahing dahilan ng mas mababang antas ng inflation nitong Marso 2025 kaysa noong Pebrero ay ang mas mabagal na pagtaas ng presyo ng food and non-alcoholic beverages sa antas na 2.2%. Ito ay may 50.2% share sa pagbaba ng pangkalatang inflation sa bansa.
Data released by the Philippine Statistics Authority saw inflation settle at 1.8% in March from 2.1% in February. On an annual basis, the inflation rate in March 2025 is also significantly down from the 3.7% recorded in March 2024. This puts the average price growth in the first 3 months of the year at 2.2%, well within the official target of 2 to 4%. Department of Social Welfare and Development Chief Rex Gatchalian reminds candidates that marginalized sectors like single parents should not be targets of jokes and insults, especially lewd ones. Gatchalian issues this statement after a candidate for the lone congressional district in Pasig City, Ian Sia, bragged that menstruating single mothers could line up to have sex with him. In a video clip that has gone viral, Sia says during a campaign sortie that solo mothers who are still menstruating can sleep with him once a year. He says that those who are interested should have their names listed. In a social media post late Thursday, April 3, Gatchalian emphasizes that the supposed joke made by Sia was not funny. As former mayor and representative of Valenzuela City, Gatchalian says he recognized that it is difficult to grab voters' attention, but he points out that campaigning should not be done in a filthy way. He challenges candidates to elevate election discourse to a higher level. Instead of such peddling vulgarities, Gatchalian says candidates should lay out their platforms. He says that voters should not be underestimated. Gatchalian also highlights solo parents, describing them as real-life heroes who put food on the table against all odds. Sia is a candidate under Pasig City mayoralty candidate Sara Diskaya. He clarifies his joke on Thursday as he blames the machinery and propaganda of his opponents for supposedly blowing the matter out of proportion. According to Sia, women should be loved and respected. He also slams the supposed propaganda against him, saying he won't stop until Pasig City residents hear his message. The Commission on Elections has a task force to investigate such remarks from political aspirants in line with Resolution number 11116 promulgated on February 19. The COMELEC resolution states that no discrimination shall be acted against cause-oriented groups and organizations. The resolution covers people who are part of the LGBTQIA+ community, indigenous peoples, persons living with HIV, persons with disability, and women. Bayan Muna Chairperson Nery Colmenares is calling on the Supreme Court to retain President Bongbong Marcos as a respondent in their petition against the transfer of the PhilHealth 60 billion peso excess reserve funds to the National Treasury. Colmenares makes the appeal in response to a motion by Solicitor General Menardo Guevara asking the High Court to drop Marcos as a respondent of Bayan Muna's petition. The petition is one of 3 consolidated petitions challenging the legality of the transfer of PhilHealth's reserve funds to the National Treasury. During the oral arguments on Bayan Muna's petition, Colmenares says he believes the Supreme Court has the power to modify the doctrine that makes the president immune from suit. He notes that while the 1973 Constitution states that the president cannot be sued, the 1987 Constitution dropped that provision. Colmenares says there is a jurisprudential issue rather than a constitutional one now. He adds that Marcos is being impleaded for his personal acts, particularly the presidential certification of emergency. According to Colmenares, Marcos must be impleaded for certifying as urgent the passage of House Bill number 10800 or the 2025 General Appropriation Act. The lawyer says this violates the 3 restrictions placed by the 1987 Constitution on issuing a presidential certification. Colmenares says they believe there was no emergency in issuing the certification, with Marcos supposedly imposing on a co-equal branch of government. He says Marcos's move short-circuits a legislative process. He also says Marcos does not have absolute power to order the legislative branch even without an emergency. Senior Associate Justice Marvic Leonin then asks Colmenares if wanting to retain Marcos as a respondent to their petition was a political move, to which Colmenares responds in the negative. At the conclusion of the oral arguments, Chief Justice Alexander Gesmundo told Colmenares and Guevara to include their arguments on the dropping of Marcos from the petition on their memoranda to be submitted to the Supreme Court.